Hello and welcome to our edition of the Nirvana Web GUI tutorials. My name is Martin Margo and today we will go over the brand new GUI that we have for you. So let's start with this web browser. We connect it to our metadata catalog and we are presented with a login screen. So I will just type in my password and click login. Right off the bat, we see a clean, sleek looking GUI that has been updated this year, 2015. The top bar basically gives you the overview of all the valid operation you can do in this particular context. As you can see, I'm not selecting anything, so many of the buttons are disabled. The second row here, it tells you where you are in the federation, the current collection. I'm in /mmfs1 in my sample federation now, and has a few handy icons to help you navigate the federation tree. You might have noticed that we have moved our main tabs over to the right here. These are all useful and to make it cleaner and leaner. So just pay attention that the find button is now on the right hand side. The bottom work area is expansive and wide to make sure that we can see all the data that we need to work with. For this demo, I have loaded up 5,000 files of bacteria DNA sequence from NCBI. So let's get to it. Let's see where the data is. I'm gonna go to my/data. I will go to my/genomes and all GBK files. And here I am. And you might see there are quite a few of this bacteria species living around in my federation. I might add that I didn't copy any of this into the underlying physical resource, but it has been registered by Nirvana so that the database is populated with the current path, the correct path, and that the metadata is stored correctly into the database. So let's see what one of those files look like. If I go to the first one here, you'll see I have about 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 data. I will open one of them here, and if I click this, it will basically create a request to the metadata catalog, and the catalog knows where the location of the actual physical file is and asks the agent to send the bits over to the web browser. So I'm downloading the file, and this is what it looks like. As you can see, it has a lot of header data, which is very nice for us to be able to parse the content and put it into our special schema, which we call the GBK schema. I'll show that in a moment. But keep in mind that each one of the GBK files have a format like this. It's a text file. Okay. So let's say I want to start browsing my rich metadata now. I can go to one of these header files. I can go to GBK, and I want to see the locus ID. And immediately I can see that the data that has been extracted from the file and put it on the metadata catalog. So you can quickly see the value of each one of these GBK files. Let's say I don't want to stop there, I want to expand the definition of these files. So nc009929.gbk may not mean a lot to you as a scientist, but the definition will. So that makes it easy to read and find files this way. And so if I select one of this file, you might notice that the top bar now has a lot of icons highlighted. That means that we can now perform any of these operations, which is very useful. I can copy the file, I can move the file, delete the file, and so on. Okay. Another part of Nirvana, which is nice to have, is also your access control. This access control button allows you to look at who has access to the file and also administer your own files and assign access to other people. This is particularly useful for collaborating with other organizations inside and outside your organizations. So if I click on that, now I see that the owner is super@root, which is my root user, and I have a curator, which is also super@root. And I have an inherited access control list, which is basically a template that you can use. So you can create multiple of this access control list path and use that as for your inheritance down the road. So let's say that I have another user that I want to share 9928.gbk to. Say his name is public at public. And I want him to be able to read this file. And I just click the add button, and now it's registered. So for future inspection of the file, you will see that public at public has a read access to this 9928.gbk. That's access control in a nutshell. You can do that with batch multiple files, or you can do that recursively within the whole subdirectories. Another thing I want to show is also the metadata piece. So I open the metadata and immediately it goes to GBK schema. These schemas are user defined, so you can create a schema that's more proper for your type of data. As you can see, we have 3 different user schema, and this time I'm just going to use GBK. It tells you that the value of each one of these metadata fields. So you can use this for data discovery, for searching, for error correction, and the like. Okay. Now let's move on to the next step, which is find. So in this dialog, we want to search our files based on the metadata that was ingested by Nirvana. So we want to search for anything under genomes. I want to search the subdirectory, so I turn on recursive. And the bottom looks like an SQL statement. So you would say I want a GBK locus and the verb between not like equal to, and I put 374161. This is the locus value that I'm looking for. Click the find button and it finds 374161. And oh, this is my file that I'm looking for. If you have multiple hits, you might want to refine your search with other criteria such as size, dates, or owners. Let's go back to the main menu. If I go up to the parent, now here I have in MMFS1/data, I have a different looking icon for a folder. This regular folder has a yellow color, this one has a blue color, and the type, it says that it is a virtual collection. What it is a query. So I have prepared this before, and if I execute this query, it will search for any files inside my federation that has a locus of 374.161. So any new files that has matching criteria policy will be added on to my virtual collection. This is a good way to save all your work, or to detect new files, or detect changes in the files, or even assign work to other individuals in their organizations. Think of it as a dynamic smart buckets, and it is policy driven for your files. Let's go back to the genomes here. Now what if I want to share my work, my raw data, to different universities or organizations, but they are not in my Nirvana domain? You can use tickets for that. Tickets are 8-digit alphanumeric code that the user can issue to share a file. Let's get to it. In here it will say, okay, you are selecting this one file. You specify the validity, the start time of your ticket, just today. And let's say I want to do it for 7 days, and only 5 tokens, 5 tickets access count is allowed. So once the 5 people download it, then the ticket will become invalid. Public at public is basically a default user that require no password. So if I click add, you will see that next to the mail icon here, you have a text DDAMUGLN3J. This is the code that you can share in email to your colleagues, to your paper reviewer, or anybody who you want to share your data with. In the email, you can specify the URL for them to log in, and they will be able to type in this number, text, and then they will be able to download the file. Okay. Finally, we're going to the options. This is where you can enable or disable dynamic menus. These are the dynamic menus. Preview for you. And then you can also change your passwords and turn on and off different type of personalization. The last button here is to log out of the system. And now we're going back to the main menu. And you'll see that everything is now selected again, ready to work. Thank you so much for your time, and let me know if you have any questions.